And with me now in our studio is the CEO of the nonprofit charity tackling food insecurity called No Kid Hungry. Ann Filipic is back with us. And it's good to see you again. You know, when we spoke last, we had talked about the fact that there was some funding at the beginning of the shutdown, but that if the shutdown continued, there would be real concern for low-income families. So where do we stand now?
Well, Sumi, thanks for having me back. And perhaps the best way to describe it is we are standing at the edge of a cliff. The ground is crumbling beneath our feet, and what's at risk is the basic food and nutrition needs for tens of millions of Americans. And I say at the edge of the cliff because, as you noted, these programs are currently funded. And I should say that anyone who is eligible for these programs should be drawing down their October benefits. However, if USDA fails to act, what we're going to see is tens of millions of Americans have their benefits cut off in November, which is obviously just around the corner.
Can you tell us a bit about the SNAP program that we referenced there? What does it provide? How many people are reliant upon it?
Absolutely. So SNAP provides grocery benefits to 42 million Americans, including 16 million children. And these are veterans, seniors, parents of young kids, and often, frankly, families, parents who are working multiple jobs just to try to make ends meet, who are often trying to make impossible decisions between paying their bills and buying groceries for their family. And one of the things I keep hearing from folks who depend on these programs is how frustrated they are that they're working multiple jobs to try to make ends meet, while those who are elected in Washington to represent them aren't even meeting the basic job that they have here, which is to fund the government and make sure that these programs meet the Americans who have worked hard and deserve them.
And we should say this comes at a time where there is real concern about just how high food prices are anyway.
Exactly. We're at a point that wages are often stagnant while grocery prices are increasing. And you know, we did some research just in recent months where we heard that 1 in 3 parents who have low incomes are worried about running out of food. So this is an extraordinarily difficult time. I say we are really facing a crisis, and what we need is USDA to take action. They can release contingency funds to fund this program in November. So we need them to do that, and then we need our leaders in Congress to take action to reopen the government and fund these programs, SNAP, WIC, and school meals permanently.
We've seen Democrats and Republicans really passing the blame to each other about, first of all, why the government isn't open, but also on families going without some of this essential food and necessities that they have. I mean, when you look at that, you know, what is the message that you want to send to lawmakers on both sides of the aisle, the president?
You know, often in Washington, it does come down to finger pointing and a conversation about politics. But the folks I talk to, they're not concerned about politics. They're concerned about getting the basic benefits that they are entitled to as Americans. And they're expecting their elected leaders to step up, to come together to find a bipartisan solution and to reopen the government and to fund these programs. And until then, we need the U.S. Department of Agriculture to take a stopgap measure to release these contingency funds and make sure that the 42 million Americans who are eligible for SNAP receive their benefits in November.
You mentioned just a moment ago that, you know, you're standing, or many families rather, are standing at an abyss, not there just yet. Before we let you go, how much time would it take for them to really reach a crisis where they cannot access that food, those necessities?
Well, I think for an individual family, it really is case by case. Yeah. But I would say in terms of where are we at that cliff, states have already started sending messages to recipients saying you will not get your benefits in November, because of course for something of this scale, this is $9 billion in benefits should be going out next month to 42 million Americans. Of course, there's an administrative process that has to happen to get there. And so states are beyond that point. So when I say the ground is crumbling beneath our feet, it is true, it is real. We have moved from threat to nearly reality, and we need USDA to take action and our leaders in Congress to reopen the government.
Okay, Ann Filipic, great to have you back in the studio. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Sumi.